Hello, good
Hi,
evening,
everybody.
welcome. I'm Kenton Hansen. I'm the product director at Roll20, and I'm here tonight with two coworkers. I have Amber. Amber, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I am Amber Cook, and I'm our marketing director here at Roll20. What else does anybody want to know? Probably not much. Morgan is also here.
Yeah, hi. I'm Morgan. I'm the Chief Technical Officer here at Roll20. Fairly recent. I started here around late January.
And yeah, we are here to talk to you all, answer some questions. We've got some announcements about things that have been happening and things that are coming out. I'm going to dive right in. Just going to say that anybody watching in chat, if you want to put your question in, just put in all caps question, and we'll be able to find that a whole lot easier. We've got some mods in chat ready to pull those out and share those with us, and we'll answer them. We're going to talk about a bunch of different things. We have like I said, some announcements and some talking points, and we have some pre-submitted questions. People have sent them in over the past couple of weeks, and then we'll answer some live questions. But we always love to reward those who come and watch live by making sure that we answer your questions too.
I'm also going to be taking a little bit of time to talk you through to get to some information on Roll20's infrastructure and some of the improvements and upgrades we've made to that over the last year, and some of the ones that we have planned going into the future, just to give some, I guess, inside baseball on that.
Yeah, I'm excited to share those. It's been a while since we've really been able to dig into those and show them off, so that'll be great. First, let's so in our last roundtable, that's where we need to start. Bunny, Corey, and Jeff talked about updated dynamic lighting a whole lot and dug into that. We gave some updates on our Black Lives Matter initiatives, including more Black creators on a marketplace and getting content created by Black creators and promoting that. We talked about our paid class blog series and sharing resources for safety tools that have been on there, and how we've been living our code of conduct by partnering with Code 2040. And you can always check our previous roundtables on YouTube. That's where they end up after this live stream. Let's talk a little bit about our upcoming products. Amber, do you want to talk about some stuff that's coming into the marketplace?
I can definitely do that. So Dungeons on a Dime is, oh man, I'm losing my list here. Okay, Dungeons on a Dime is one of the really exciting things that we've had come out recently. It's more of an indie product, but we found it because I think it's had some good critical acclaim, and we really loved the creator, who does some really inclusive work on Dungeons on a Dime, and also part of his philosophy is making things very accessible to different users. So he's got a free rule book that we've made available as a module on Roll20. He's also working with a really cool illustrator who's brought some amazing art packs to Roll20 that work really well with that free module. So we're excited to be doing more work with him. He's got a live show on YouTube called Beastly Fables, which is one of my favorites. It's got beautiful, beautiful artwork, and it's fun that it's on YouTube because most of our streamed content is on Twitch. So you can find him on YouTube. He's a Scottish guy, and he's doing some really great gaming programs in Scotland that feature some of the history of Scotland. So we're supporting that as he builds that out too. One of the next things that we worked on was Harlem Unbound. It's designed by Chris Spivey. It's part of the Call of Cthulhu series, and it's a very interesting version of Call of Cthulhu because it's set in Harlem in, back in like early 20th century, and just has a lot of Black creators or Black characters in it, and it's really kind of flipping the script on what was happening back then. So that's a very excellent product. Chris did a really great live stream of it with some of his friends on Roll20, so you can go search for that, and that's a really exciting one to watch. I know Jennifer Kirchner was on it, and I know Matt Mercer. There were a few other people, and we're hoping he'll do some more actual plays for us, showing off how it works on Roll20. D&D Adventures League, parts 18 through 20 are going to be released this Friday, I believe. So it's exciting to continue to support that. Evil Hat's been doing some really great content. In addition to releasing more and more on the marketplace, they've been doing some nice work of like how behind the scenes they're bringing content onto Roll20. So I think it's worth visiting their blog and watching some of their socials to just hear how they talk about playing on Roll20 and how that's different than playing in real life or just, maybe on Zoom or something like that. So I think there aren't a lot of publishers who are talking about what added value Roll20 has. While we're trying to present that to you and a lot of the actual plays show that off, it's nice to hear a publisher's perspective on it. DM Dave is somebody we're really excited to continue to work with. He's got a big following on Patreon, and he's making all kinds of different adventures for D&D. And so we've been working pretty closely with him. I know he came out with some themed content that worked with Rhyme of the Frost Maiden. And he's been collaborating with Tom Cardos and a few of our other marketplace creators like Che and Piku to put together kind of bundles for you all. So I'd go check his stuff out on the marketplace as well. And again, we're still continuing to do our sort of roundup every Thursday that shows you what released that week, what some of our favorites are. So you can find that on our blog. And, we continue to talk about everything on Twitter as it comes out too. So.
And there is quite a fire hose too of content that's coming out on the marketplace. So keeping up with it is a challenge that we're happy to help with.
There's also some really, I'm not going to tell you what they are, but Roll20 Con is going to be coming up in about a month. And I'm very excited because in addition to all of these things that we've talked about coming out, there are some great things that are going to launch there. And we'll be making some really cool announcements about things to come for Roll20. Some really great new partnerships, things that you probably wouldn't expect, and pretty big IPs coming to the marketplace. So all kinds of new games. You don't just have to play D&D or Call of Cthulhu or Pathfinder. There's just all kinds of indie stuff coming, and in even bigger systems. So yeah.
Awesome. We talk a lot about the game systems and new fun indie games and big blockbuster games too that show up in our live streams with actual plays. The Lost Mine crew has started Rhyme of the Frost Maiden campaign. The Indoor Recess is going to be returning with season 2 on October 13th, so not too long away now. We're going to be announcing season 2 of the Indie Showcase shortly.
I think you just announced it.
Did I?
Yeah, that's an announcement.
Well, I guess I did. I mean, I just said that we were going to be. I announced an announcement. Yeah. And then second season of our Burn Bright game and Spotlight creator Salty Sweet Games are going through more of a new Burn Bright campaign. Is that
No, they're continuing the one that they already had going.
Okay.
They haven't wrapped up yet, but the original crew led by the GM Celeste Konowich is going to come back for a new adventure of Burn Bright. So they wrapped up their game already and they're coming back, which we're really excited about because everybody on that stream is somebody new to working with us as a streamer at Roll20.
Awesome.
And it was a really fun crew.
It was. I really like Celeste. And then Gabe James Games has a fantastic GM show every Friday morning. He's going to be off this week, but next week, coming back to talk about world building. Most recent episode was on GM Burnout, which we have links to coming up.
I'm going to butt in one more thing with that. So Gabe's
you're co-host. You can't butt in. Like we're doing this together.
I'm in it with you. So Gabe is also a designer, and I'm sure we've talked about this before, but he designed the class modifier module, which is also available on our marketplace and was the first product that was released as part of our Black Creator Initiative for the marketplace. We sort of have a number of hours budgeted and allocated every month for our production team to bring some different kinds of content onto the marketplace. And that one's been really popular. I know that what used to be called our Lost Mine crew used it for their session 0. And I think they'll be using it again or did use it again for Frost Maiden. So it's something to try out, something different for setting up your characters.
Next on my list is to talk about Roll20 Con 2020. What do you want to? Do you want to butt in here, Amber? Too?
A lot of
do you
20s.
It is. It's triple 20s.
Yeah, I'll butt in. So Roll20Con 2020, I'm super stoked about. What are we doing? We're going to be releasing I haven't sent the press release out for this first, so don't tell anyone. But we're going to be releasing a free one-shot for Burn Bright. So that's going to be available to everybody who comes on to Roll20 for the weekend. We have 3 days of programming. There's going to be some panels, but there's also going to be a lot of actual play content. There's going to be the crews that you normally see on our Twitch channel, some spotlight creators, but also a lot of publishers who are presenting their content, and some streamers from outside of our normal ecosystem. So that's going to be fun. We've also partnered with some of the publishers that you normally see on the marketplace to be running demos on Roll20 through the weekend. So those will all be listed in the LFG system, and you can sign up for those as soon as that page goes live, if I cross my fingers, by the end of the first week of October. And then I mentioned before, there's going to be a lot of announcements at Roll20Con. So we'll be doing sort of a single hour between 2 of our bigger streams, talking about what's next to come for Roll20. There's things that we're not going to say tonight because I'm making everyone wait to say them at Roll20Con. And the entire program is going to be working to raise money for Code 2040. So we've mentioned before here and in a million other places that we're fundraising for Code 2040. Roll20 is excitingly matching up to $50,000 in community raised money for Code 2040. And if you're not familiar with their organization, they work to break down racial barriers in tech. So they work with a lot of people who have graduated with tech degrees to get them placement into bigger companies, and help facilitate like getting past that wall of getting started with those.
Yeah, and I actually work with the bigger tech companies in order to break down those walls too, and like create the pipelines aren't the problem, but to make sure that those pipelines are bringing in the people who are underrepresented in tech for sure too.
Yeah, and I think that one was a really exciting one for us to do because it's so close to our hearts, making sure that we have an inclusive staff, and bringing in different people who have tech backgrounds. So there's a lot of different organizations we could have supported, but I think that really meant a lot to us to work with them.
2 or 3 months ago, I can't remember, but on the roundtable we had somebody from Code 2040 on and actually talk about that. So pulling that back up and watching that if you haven't seen it. I made some pretty good jokes in that one too. As always. And actually, one very special announcement: Amber is painting her room and has 2 sample paint colors up, and so chat will actually get to decide which color that Amber chooses. If we raise how much money for Code 2040 tonight, Amber, will you let Twitch chat pick your room color?
I mean, I need $500 at least.
500. I mean, I'll pay $500 myself. Are you sure you want to put it at that level?
And then I'll move my desk so then nobody can ever see whether or not I followed through with this. Okay, that works.
All right, great. Yeah, $500. That's where we need to do.
I have one more thing, which is that for Roll20Con, we're trying to figure out how people could communicate during Roll20Con, and for people who are new to the platform, how they could ask questions. And so we are setting up a special forum section just for Roll20Con. So around the end of the first week of October is when you're going to see that go live too. So I know a lot of the people who watch this are dedicated and loyal Roll20 users, and so you might see some new faces there. So we appreciate your help welcoming new users to the platform, and we'll see publishers there, and hopefully you'll get some opportunities there to interact with some new people.
Awesome. Well, Morgan, how about you butt in here? And I don't know if you can butt in once invited, but tell us all about Roll20.
I can try.
Okay.
All right. So I got a presentation for this. So bear with me. I'll try to keep this concise. But I also guarantee that at some point in time, one second, we're waiting for some commentary.
Oh, I was just going to say that we are going to take questions about Morgan's presentation after that. So while some of the questions are going to come at the end of the roundtable, feel free to pop some of those into chat if you have them, and we'll address them immediately so we haven't forgotten everything.
Cool. All right. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right. So just a little bit of a caution here. We are going to be talking about exciting things like servers and databases and load balancers, and it might put you to sleep. I'm going to do my best to keep it fast and to keep it interesting. So here goes. All right. So in 2019, before I came to Roll20, is when the team really started to talk about the fact that we were wanting to bring more people to the platform, but that we honestly weren't sure that our platform was in a place where it was going to be healthy enough to be able to actually do that. So plans were rolled out, a lot of ideas about how to improve and modernize Roll20's infrastructure were laid out at that point in time. Over the next 6 months, we made some really slow progress. The ideas got revised in progress while we were working on it. And to be perfectly honest, at this point in time, the infrastructure work was definitely taking a backseat to feature work and bug fixes and the kind of normal everyday thing. It was in January, around the time that I started here, that we really kicked this project into full gear. And it was a good thing we did. Because a few months later, we had some surprises, and we all landed in quarantine. This meant that a lot of people were at home looking for ways to play role-playing games online with their friends, and it was a pretty good thing that we were in progress, but we weren't done at the time that quarantine hit. We did manage to keep an average of around 99.8% uptime during some of those early months, but we had some weeks that were pretty bad. So let's, before I jump into that, I am proud to say that we've now been at 100% uptime for 7 weeks on the service. And it actually would be 9 weeks if there weren't for some outages with some of our upstream service providers. So let's look at some of the specifics about how we got to that point. So the main site, and when I say the main site, we're talking about the server that hosts the marketplace, login, your games lists, looking for groups. It's basically the part of the site that manages everything from the time that you first navigate to Roll20 to when you actually click the link to launch your game. And this was definitely the largest single source of outages at the time that we really kicked this project off. It began as a single massive server. Several years ago, we moved up to 2 servers, and this let us do some things like we could push an update to one server while the other one handled all of the traffic, and then swap them, do the update. And so we were able to do updates during downtime. This is still a very primitive type of an ecosystem. So we knew that in order to be able to handle things for larger traffic, we were going to need to be able to move from these massive servers to some smaller servers that could spin up and spin down quickly, that we could scale up and scale down dynamically in order to handle whatever traffic came at us. But the process of moving from that kind of old school model of gigantic servers to something that runs fast and light is pretty complex. And we unfortunately did not get there when quarantine came around. During some of those first few weeks when we were really getting hit hard, we spun up Prod 3, which was another even more massive server than Prod 1 and 2. This allowed us to handle the traffic fairly well, although we still couldn't push changes outside of peak hours. So, during peak hours. So we would have issues sometimes where a bug would come back to us from live, and it would be in the middle of peak playtime on a Saturday night, and we would have to make a really hard decision about, will we take the site down for 10 minutes in order to fix this bug, or is it in an okay enough state that we can leave it there and fix it in the morning? And that's just a bad position for us to be in. It's a bad position for us to be leaving users in. So how did we get from that massive footprint server to smaller, more condensed servers? The first thing that we did was a lot of upgrading around our database. This was not exactly carefully planned out, but rather a lot of this was devs up in the middle of the night and during peak traffic, desperately trying to make these improvements right while we were dealing with some of our heaviest traffic. It was a pretty heroic effort, and I think the devs that worked on this worked hard. We also had to move to a more modern way of handling connections between our server and our database. This is kind of complicated, but the short version of this is that rather than allowing one user session to hold a connection to our database for a really long period of time, which required every server to have a huge number of connections, we moved to an outside service that was able to manage a lot smaller number of short-lived connections to the database. And so what that meant was that each server could host more users with more reliable performance, with much smaller CPUs and less. There's no more to that sentence. Smaller CPUs. We also needed to ultimately completely replace the HTTP server component of our architecture, which is exactly as large of a project as it sounds like it was. Once all of that was in place, we were able to finally make that big swap from 2 servers to 3 servers to many servers, which brings us to the current state of the main site right now. Whereas during April and May, we were at tops running 3 servers at a time. Nowadays, we are running between 40 and 500 servers at any given time, depending on peak. And we've actually gone even higher than this during some of the online conventions that have rolled out in the last few months, and allowed it to scale up even further to handle that larger traffic. This also means we can now push changes anytime, even during peak, and that has allowed us to get emergency fixes out the door a lot faster. So just to show you what this looks like, this graph right here shows the overall uptime percentage. You can see most of the time we're not really dipping below 97%, but 97% is still 20, 30 minutes of downtime during which our site's inaccessible during that week. I guess to make this a little bit more.
That's not unlike a Tuesday morning when it's really down too. That's peak times.
So so what you can see is, although we do hit 100% uptime every now and then in the earlier part of the year, it becomes much more consistent towards the end of the year. And this is a better visualization of this. The red bars here represent consecutive weeks with less than 5 minutes of downtime. And then for something even nicer, the blue line represents number of consecutive weeks at 100% uptime, so 0 downtime on the main site. So, I mean, as you can see, the new infrastructure we've put in place has allowed us to make the service a lot more stable and available much more reliably. Okay, so that one was our really kind of unequivocal win. The next things I'm going to be talking about are things that we have improved, but where we still have improvements to make. So the real-time sync shards. When we talk about that, what we're talking about is the main piece of infrastructure that's handling your virtual tabletop experience. So this is handling storage of the game, whether that's maps, tokens, dynamic lighting lines. And this is also responsible for keeping the state of your game in sync with the state of your GM's game. So when they move a goblin up to flank you, and that happens on your screen too, the real-time sync shards are handling that. So the main problem here is that for these systems, we really have to optimize around the absolute maximum number of users. These real-time sync shards aren't something that we can just kind of dynamically scale up and scale down. And so we need to make sure that this system is able to handle the absolute peak, and we have to keep that many shards running at all times. So over the course of this period, we moved from 30 to 60 to 200 shards. I don't have a great graph to visualize this, but the amount of throughput that these servers are able to handle now is much better. There's still a ways to go here. A lot of older games still exist on these crowded older sync shards. We have not yet been able to effectively move games over to these new shards. So what that means is that some older games are still seeing bad performance, and there are still some situations, if it happens to be that a lot of people are patching their games simultaneously, that it can really put strain on a shard. So we're still working on some solutions to make that patching process more efficient, and to find ways to move those old games off of the old shards in order to provide a better experience for everyone. So dice we'll talk about next. So dice, as many of you probably know, are still using quantum roll underneath the hood. So we're still providing a true random number generation experience. But this, just like our main site, was just running on a couple of servers. We found out very quickly, as soon as we scaled to the main site, that the dice server load went up as soon as the number of servers we were running went up. So we did the same thing with these that we did with the main site, and went from running just a handful of servers to a fleet. I don't have the exact numbers, but we run an extremely large number of these servers nowadays. We also found that even when we were running a large number of servers, there were certain very complicated 3D dice rolls in particular that could really bog down a single server. So, let's say someone's playing Storyteller or Story Path system and they're rolling 25 D10s. That could really cause a problem, and it could bottleneck other people that were behind them in line for the dice server. So our solution to that was to rewrite a portion of that dice server and move it to a multi-threaded model, so that just because someone's rolling their bucket of D10s in front of you in line, it doesn't mean it's going to slow down your dice roll. So we still have some types of dice rolls that are slow, like those massive D10 rolls, things that are happening that incorporate a decent number of 3D dice, and certain other edge cases. We're still making improvements to this system, and this is one place where it's really important to us that if you're seeing particular types of dice rolls or particular times during which the dice server is not meeting your expectations, helping us get more information about it can help us to target it and make sure that we're making the improvements that need to happen. Okay, so the API server. The API server had the same problem as our main server and our dice server, that there were a small number of them operating, but it was even worse. We had hard-coded these, and they were referred to as evens and odds. The whole system had such an assumption that we were only ever going to be running 2 of those servers. The VMs for these were also very old and unstable, and we didn't have a whole lot of experience with upgrading them and changing them. We updated and tweaked everything on those servers. We updated the operating system. We made a bunch of very, very small changes to the kernel. And we fixed most of the hard coding that allowed us to deploy these servers much more rapidly, and allowed us to point the fleet of main site servers to that much larger pool of API servers. So I failed to get the chart in for this, but while we were putting diagnostics and logging into this, we found out that on the older VMs that there were definitely connections being dropped, which matched what a lot of users were explaining to us on production. And we were able to eliminate those request errors almost completely. All right, so video chat. This is a tough one, and this is probably the improvement that we made that has the longest way to go. For video chat, you're going to see a theme here. We were running far too few servers to be able to handle the traffic we were doing. We also had very insufficient visibility into errors. And so we really only knew that WebRTC issues were happening when they were reported to us or when we experienced them ourselves. So what we did for this was we made some improvements to the server creation process that allowed us to spin these up more quickly. We weren't able to run them in fleets like some of our other systems, but we were able to significantly improve the server creation process, and we put in a ton of monitoring and logging. So we can show that these changes made a pretty big improvement to the number of connections that were made. However, we also now have the monitoring and logging to know that there are still WebRTC connections that are failing. Most of the time, this has to do with different browsers having different implementations of WebRTC and our servers failing under certain conditions to punch through those different connection implementations. But with that logging now and with the reports that we get about issues with the service, we're able to make gradual improvements. And I think we have high hopes that we're going to be able to get that into a much better place. So we are still working on the reliability there. So that covers the main systems that I wanted to talk about. I hope that gave you a good broad overview, but I would love to answer any questions that people have about our infrastructure and about what we're doing in the future and what we've done in the last year.
There is for sure one question that came in about infrastructure. This is, let's see, would you recommend that older games be abandoned and rebuilt to improve performance?
I wouldn't recommend abandoning them and rebuilding them necessarily. I think we've made improvements to how we store the data on the back end in some cases. And so you might see some improvements rebuilding it, but that's also a lot of work. As I saw someone say in the chat, when you copy a game, it does, those copies do land on the new sync shards. So copying a game can help you to get off of those high traffic shards. But to be perfectly honest, I don't think that that's a fair thing for us to be asking of users. It's something that you can do for yourself that will help to improve your experience. But I think also it's kind of incumbent on us to make sure that we find a solution that doesn't require a manual step from everyone.
Yeah,
that doesn't require people to abandon old games or have a bunch of copies sitting around.
I was about to ask the question of what are there. I know the answer to this, but are there plans on making the shards balance themselves in some way?
Yes, although that's not our highest priority fix right now. The biggest thing is there's a very specific type of process that happens on these shards that is the most likely to cause them to lock up or to slow down. And that is, like I mentioned, it's large writes. Whenever a huge amount of data is written simultaneously, that generally happens when people are applying patches to their games or if a large copy is going to that game, although copies no longer route to those old servers. So generally, the biggest culprit, even for those old servers of a slowdown, is someone or some large number of people applying patches to games simultaneously. So the first major thing that we want to be doing is working on our patch process to make sure that that can be done in a way that puts less strain on the server. That said, we're looking at ways, we're working with our partners to find more clever solutions to kind of identify when a game isn't in use and find ways to kind of opportunistically move them around ourselves or to make some other kind of tweak to balance that traffic. That's definitely part of the solution.
Excellent. I'm going to, it looks like those are all the infrastructure questions that have been asked, but I think, Morgan, you're hanging out with us until we close this party down. So if there's more infrastructure questions, feel free to ask those in chat and we'll make sure we get to them.
Also, I'm Kenton now.
Oh, sweet. Well then, it's your show then.
Nope, you're Kenton again.
Oh,
you're
okay,
Kenton
okay.
again.
Well, darn. That was fun. I enjoyed being Morgan. I think I was Morgan for a second.
I think I'm Morgan, and I suddenly just got a lot smarter about technology. So you're welcome.
Does that mean I was Amber? I
think you're Amber, yeah.
Okay. What color should I paint my room?
Oh, wait, you're moving. You're back to being Kenton. Sorry.
That's disappointing, honestly. So I guess we can we can do whatever we want here. We're in complete control over this. We can do some chat questions real fast to reward people who showed up. How do you feel about that? Great. First one is the Tasha's Cauldron of Everything going to be offered? Yes. It looks like that was that's a question I don't have the answer to. We don't have digital pre-orders right now. Is that?
They're not doing digital pre-orders anywhere.
Okay.
So I don't know all the logic behind it, but WotC's decision was to have retailers, the physical retailers, do pre-orders. So our expectation is that we'll launch day and date with the physical release.
Excellent. Speaking of Wizards of the Coast releases, how about that DMG and Sword Coast? That's Dungeon Master's Guide and Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide.
We were just talking about this week. They're definitely on the way. We're not going to release them both at the same time.
Yeah.
But one's coming incredibly soon. And then we'll see how much you all like it. And then we'll give you the other one when we're ready. I don't know if you want it. Nobody ever asks about it.
Yeah. Why doesn't anybody ever ask us about these things?
No, but they're definitely on their way.
Yeah.
We just picked dates this week. So yeah, get your credit card / wallet / PayPal accounts ready and you can play. You're welcome.
Excellent. Let's see. Roll20 Con shirts this year?
There's no plan for shirts right now. What we did before was we had shirts set up and like the proceeds went to take this. So we did it on their account with whatever. So we didn't set it up that way with code 2040. That said, our graphic designer, our brand manager, Dylan, has done some really, really beautiful artwork. And he's made some really cool stuff for some of our partners. And I believe that there are some people on staff that are trying to make some surprises happen. So you're just going to have to show up and see.
So you don't want to ruin it. All right, fine. I know no one asked me, but I will on stream, if we raise $10,000 tonight, I will on stream get out a black magic marker and make Roll20 Con 2020 t-shirts. Fine.
I'll paint it on my wall. The image of a shirt.
The image of a shirt. Yes. Excellent. Okay. I think those are we have two more chat questions, and then we'll do some pre-submitted questions. Can we please get a tools option for all your uploaded content to help organize and delete them all? I think this is an excellent idea. It's definitely something that I want to do. It isn't something that is necessarily requested in that same way before, but the suggestions and ideas section of the website is a great place to put this and to get input from other users on what they would do. But yeah, I know from even managing my own games, this is something that I personally want. That usually doesn't mean that it gets done. It never means that it gets done. It just means that Kenton wants it too. But I'm glad to hear that there's someone who can commiserate with me on wanting that as well. So yes, please. Let's do some pre-submitted questions and then we'll come back to chat. Put your questions in chat, all caps, question, and then the text of the question, which we will read. Yeah.
I think there's one more.
Is there?
Yeah. The many dungeon tiles.
Okay, I created a map with many dungeon tiles, but I would like to use it in a different Roll20 game. Is it possible to copy and paste that dungeon into a different game server? The best I got was uploading a cropped screenshot into the new game, but it limits my control of the layers. Not that's coming to my head off the top of it, which is how people say that phrase.
Well, so for pro users, the transmogrifier is a feature that could handle that, but that is a specific pro only feature.
I got 7 Slack notifications just now of people saying DM saying transmogrifier, just transmogrifier. So excellent thinking.
I gotcha.
Me can't talk, think same time sometimes. So yeah, cool. Amber, do you want to read some of the first questions and then I'll read the second series of questions?
I want to do the last one from chat.
Okay.
Which was, is there any work being done on the mobile apps, iOS in this person's case?
Very much so. Lots and lots of work. Such beautiful and exciting work that I was seriously thinking about sharing my screen to show some of the design mock-ups, but that seems like
Amber's making you wait till Roll20 comes?
Yes. Yeah.
Morgan said something really that I loved, which I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm going to just I think that Morgan put it really nicely, which was like the app is in a way something like a promise of things to come for some of the rest of the site. And I really love thinking about it that way. It's just, it's already so beautiful, and I'm really excited to see it roll out at different stages, like, you know, like this one feature and then the next feature. It's just, I think everyone's going to be really happy and understand why we're taking our time with it.
The other really exciting part to me about it is the amount of user research and user feedback we've been able to incorporate into the design process and into the thought process. It has taken a while. We've been working on it for a long time for various reasons, but some of the good ones are that there's a lot that happens in a Roll20 game, right? Like playing on Roll20 is not simple. Morgan just presented us with like all the infrastructure that happens, and that's everything is invisible. We have to talk about that because you don't see that happening. The stuff that you do see happening, and the way that chat interacts with the virtual tabletop, and you know, XY positions and so many different things. It will be worth the wait for sure. I'm very excited to use it in my games. I know for certain.
I think one of the other things that, I don't know if we've talked about this publicly, but we also just like super flexed and working with some really amazing mobile experts, and really like from the ground up really thought about why do we want an app? What purpose can it serve? How can it be most effective for people in supplementing their game? And and that's one of the things that I think is going to be really useful to people. Make it useful as like an additional resource to people when they're in the game. I know that for me, that's certainly the case. What we're designing is going to be really helpful for the way that I use the BTT. And yeah, I don't know. We'll show it off. Come to Roll20Con. Yeah, and I think all of that, like Kenton mentioned, that we're doing a lot of market research and user research. You might have gotten surveys in the last month or two, and it's been interesting to do a lot of that, because not only is it informing the mobile app, but I think it's really helping some of the teams that are working on other projects figure out what user priorities are. You know, we have the suggestions and ideas for them, but it's also interesting to see beyond what you want to add on to the way that our VTT works. Like, you know, how are you using it the most, so we can figure out like how to prioritize that besides just the votes that exist. So,
and a lot of times that helps us translate emotion and pain into actionable items, which I mean might be a little bit theoretical or philosophical to share on a stream about TTRPGs, but maybe not. The idea that you know, people can we can correlate and create connections between these different data points is really beautiful in a nerdy kind of way, I guess. But that's me. That's Kenton.
I'm going to read these questions to you that were submitted before.
I will answer them, and I'm going to answer them as thoroughly as I possibly can and as quickly as I possibly can.
Great. Okay.
Here we go. Ready.
What are the minimum specs for a PC for the DM and players using dynamic lighting?
This is Morgan might have something to add to this, but there is a I'll just let you answer. Morgan will answer for me.
Sure. Yeah, so these are numbers that we haven't specifically worked up right now. What I can say is that all of the tests that we've done with internal machines show it performing on machines that are a bit lower than what was necessary to run the old advanced fog of war. But there's a specific reason why we haven't released min-spec numbers on it right now, and that is that we don't believe that it's where it needs to be. We have a couple of very large changes that are in progress right now that are seeking specifically to make the updated dynamic lighting much more performant. And so I think we're waiting to see the impact of those changes before we crunch those numbers. But that's definitely something that we want to be able to provide. It can be tough, you know, because for min spec, which is something that you can expect with an installable product, it's a lot easier because you're just dealing with the hardware on the specific machine. Whereas for something that runs inside of your browser, you're looking at both the the specifications of your hardware, but you're also looking at the operating system and the browser choice and the version of the browser, and all of those can kind of mediate how powerfully your hardware can be utilized. And so that can make it hard to give specific numbers, but definitely once we feel like we've hit an acceptable level, we'll do our best to create some numbers for that to give people guidance.
Yeah, that was going to be my main point, is that it has more to do with the operating system and browser version that you happen to be using than it does, the amazing powerful graphics card that you might have installed in the machine as well. Does that sound intelligent when I say it that way?
So smart. Do you still read the bugs and issues forums, or should we submit tickets in the help center? Would it be possible to have a public list of bugs that are often reported?
So we absolutely do read the bugs and issues forums. The forums are more geared towards community help and building in that way. So if you come across bugs with licensed content, please report those via the help center. And within that, we prioritize our help center and email, because that's where typically people new and need immediate help, and we've got a lot of we've built up some automation in that area as well. So recommend that you submit a ticket, go through this help center, and that so it can be triaged really quickly and effectively. A public list of bugs is an interesting idea. It's becomes a difficulty in maintaining that in a really good way. So this is not a no. We're taking that under consideration.
Okay, next. I would like to see better documentation in the wikis for API scripts.
Me too. Me too. In fact, I would like to see, let me take you one further, and I would like to see some of the one-click API scripts done in a way that you don't have to be a subscriber in order to read about what they do and how they work, so that you might be incentivized to become a pro subscriber and use those one-click API scripts.
Yeah, they're really cool. Okay, well, players have the option to view other players' character sheets.
So in the question form, we have the first bit, and then give us more information if you want to. And this didn't have the more information. I actually tested this right before we started. You can do this now. If you create a character and then you give edit control or even view in your handouts in your journal, then you can actually any player who has that control can see a character sheet in that same way.
So with view rights, you can't actually see the character sheet. You can only see the bio and the photo. So is that incorrect?
Yeah, because
Okay.
when people are missing from my game, I can play as them.
Okay.
And yeah, there is edit control, which lets you change the stuff on the character sheet tab as well. But I tested it 30 minutes ago on a 5th edition D&D 5th edition sheet. Maybe I don't think it would be different on others. This is real-time triage here, but I'm pretty sure.
Okay, next one. Do you have plans on stylizing the Call of Cthulhu character sheet so it resembles the actual sheet?
No plans right now. No plans right now. Internally licensed, the licensed team really likes how it's come out. It's one of the first character sheets that we've done with a nod towards digital user experience in that way. And I think that we'll probably see more of that. We've gotten some positive feedback on that as well too.
But it would be nice to know what exactly you would like to see from that physical character sheet, because I don't think there was more information here, but it might be something we agree on. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the important thing to note here is that we are trying to, we're wanting to find more ways to make those sheets work well in a variety of form factors and to present better on a screen, like Kenton was saying. But we also know that there's there's a lot of importance in the style and the feel of the character sheet as well. So I think specific feedback about what feels like it's lacking would I think help us to understand kind of how we can strike that balance between the aesthetic match and also the digital usability.
Yeah. Oh, and we haven't been saying the names of the people who submitted this, but that was see, and maybe this is why I'm going to butcher this. Annoyed, and well, I can't read very well or pronounce words that I see. So send us a message. Let us know what you're looking for. Love to get that feedback.
Do you want to read me questions now, Kenton?
Sure. I kind of feel bad because I think I put the answer into this one in our notes, but do we have any plans to release a Burn Bright as a PDF or a physical book format?
I'm going to say no right
Okay.
now, but it's not off the table. It's just, I think Burn Bright has been a really exciting launch for us because we didn't know how it would come across and how people would respond to it. And there's been so much excitement and engagement with it that I think we're exploring how to make it more accessible for a lot of people. And related to that, I think this Kenton note here says, not directly answering your question, but we're very excited about making the Roll20 compendium better for reading, which maybe you'll hear more about at Roll20Con.
And that was a Jerikith submitted
Mhm.
that. Maroon69 would like to know, when will the Pathfinder core book be completely implemented?
I don't have a date, I'm sorry, but it's in development. We'll tell you a date when we have it. I'm sorry. That's not that great of an answer.
Yeah, I can add that there is that we have developers specifically dedicated to working on this and getting it there. That some of the things we're working on right now are drag and drop, and some of the more finer grained compendium interactions. I think it seems like the project, from my perspective, it looks like it's getting close, but I can't. I don't think that we've ironed out a specific date.
Excellent. And Score Verdon wants to know about potential wannabe creators. Are they okay to resubmit applications before 6 months have passed?
So we'd prefer not to. The reason that we give you 6 months is because we want you to have the time that you need to sort of take a step back and work on, work on the pack that to improve it so that it will be accepted the next time it's submitted. I also see a sort of a sub question here about wanting increased feedback. And I will just say we get a lot of submissions for the marketplace. So we probably don't give feedback exactly on why certain things are denied, but if you have an inquiry about that, you can submit it to the help center and we'll try to address it. And that's worth doing.
Thanks. I thank you. I thank you for that question on behalf of the person who submitted it. Moa has another question for us. When will the Sword Coast Adventures Guide come out? Did we answer this already?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
I
We
just
did.
said that we set dates this
Yeah,
week and we're going to
that's right.
do it.
It came in chat. That's where it was,
Yeah.
and that's okay. Cool.
Okay, I'm going to start asking again.
I'm ready.
Now you're going to answer. Okay, these are all about the state of the VTT in the future. Are there future plans for dice designs?
Plans are a strong word. We all think they'd be really cool. We all want them. There are some more pressing matters at hand than dice skins, I think, is the most diplomatic way that I can put that. I have seen the expressions on faces letting people know, or letting me know that I've disappointed them. I apologize for that, and
You know what
hope to.
happened? We made the logo for Gabe's new stream, and they had these beautiful 3D dice that Dylan put onto the logo. And then I was like, wouldn't it be so nice if our dice looked like this? We talk about it a lot internally.
I think people are going to be happy with some of the things that we're picking up right now. I think right now we're focused on some of those requests that are a bit more directly impactful to the quality of the experience. But this is definitely something that everybody is super excited about.
Yeah, it's good frosting on the cake. So the next question is, will there be a folder or similar solution to handle all of the maps one has as a GM in their campaigns?
Yeah, and I want to answer the next question along with this too. But I'll answer this and then just refer you back to this answer. Yes, this is something we're working towards. There are people, myself included, looking at making plans into how we can best affect this and best do it. there are a lot of requests and discussion in the suggestion and ideas section of the website. Please add your opinion in there. I actually think I recognize this name from one of those threads already, so thank you for contributing there. Your opinions and thoughts and considerations are in our considerations presently.
When I said that there were things that we were looking at that that were requests that had more direct impact to how the VTT experience works, this was one of the things on my mind.
Okay, maybe this was answered before. Will there be any updates to moving players? Oh, yes, it was. To a new map or to splitting the characters between maps and GMing them separately?
I will refer you to my most recent answer. I will say though, I'm not positive that it's clear in here, but you can split characters presently, right? You have to drag their character portrait up to the map where you want them to go instead of moving the player ribbon. But just to make sure that's clear, that's confusing.
I didn't actually know that.
So I think the thing that they're also specifically talking about here too is that because that ribbon can get so long with the number of maps that you have, that being highlighted on a single map or wanting to split someone over here and someone way over here, that's the part that really becomes cumbersome.
Yeah. Or if you have, I think I've counted probably 23 is the most where you can really effectively like click, hold, and drag to get the whole player ribbon over there. So if you're moving from we got on our airship and so we flew, and so geographically, yeah, it becomes problematic pretty quickly.
Okay, next one. Support for Rollmaster, is it happening soon?
Rollmaster, yeah, best way that you can support a system is by encouraging a character sheet to be developed around that, or developing a character sheet around you, or I guess asking the publisher to get in touch with us, and we can work towards that together in that kind of business relationship-y adult way of business and shaking hands and having executive.
We also have a new licensing director, and she's focused on bringing. Maybe she'll join Roundtable so you all can meet her. Yeah, she's focused on bringing some new IPs onto the marketplace. So if the publisher reaches out to us, she is very focused on working with new publishers, which is exciting.
Excellent.
Okay, next one. And I keep forgetting to say people's usernames. Would a rating system on pay-to-play GM accounts be considered? And this is from give me road, give me a map. What's that spell? Roadmap.
Yeah. I'll answer the question, but not address the name. The rating systems are rating system. There's an excellent documentary that's available to a lot of people about certain social networks and how rating systems and computer algorithms have created problems in the real world today. I'd encourage you to watch that. When it has to do with people like GMs and in a way that's fun, and especially in gaming, which there's toxicity built up in that culture that we're not interested in promoting. This is difficult to do in a good way that protects the right people and especially when we don't collect as much data as we could, right? Like we don't verify that you are actually a person in a game with someone else, and that you're not just lying about, oh, I was in this. Yeah. Anyway, I'm digging a different kind of hole now. We've considered it. Yes, absolutely. That's a big consideration. We added pay to play in our looking for group system at the behest of our user base, and it is a very much arm's length transaction, meaning like we don't know these people. They are on our platform, and if you trust them, then pay them. If they've paid you, then play the game. I don't feel really good with this answer. I don't feel like there is a really good answer to give.
I mean, I think we're definitely in agreement that looking for a group, whether it's for pay-to-play games or for other things, could stand to see some improvements and making it a more effective and efficient process to find a game that's a good fit for you. And I think that's definitely something that we want to be looking towards in the future.
Absolutely.
How I actually will implement a solution to this particular problem case, I'm not sure, but it's a valid and real case, and it's something that we need to find a good way to address.
Okay, next. In light of recent scammers charging people to play, what plans do you have to protect the community from this kind of fraudulent behavior?
So we handle we handle reports and complaints about specific users internally, and we don't like to comment on those publicly to protect the privacy of the people involved. And so I'm not commenting on any of those, but we do take reports seriously. We do investigate those reports, and we do take action on those reports. If you've been in a situation that is problematic or abusive or in any way uncomfortable, leave those. Be careful about your emotional health and your mental well-being, and reach out to us. We want to help resolve those.
And the help center is the way to do that.
Yeah.
That goes straight to our customer service team, and they're very diligent about. I mean, not only just looking at the tickets that are incoming, but they have their pulse on the forums, and they're also, you know, they know what's happening on social media as well. So I think it's important but directly communicating with them what the problem is means that they'll have the opportunity to address it. Yeah. I think that's everything.
We did it.
We did it. We did the thing. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Amber, Morgan, for being here with me on the Roll20 Roundtable. I've enjoyed it immensely. We should do this again. Like, I don't know what you guys have planned tomorrow.
Maybe next month.
Oh yeah, I mean, let's do the roundtable next month, but let's hang out tomorrow. What, you guys got some? No,
we don't have a choice. We have to tomorrow.
I mean, you do have a choice.
I could take a sick day.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point. It's always a pleasure to come to work with you, Kenton.
That's not true either, but I appreciate you saying that in front of the public. So
yeah. Tortured metaphors and all.
Tortured metaphors and eating lunch on cam. Thanks all for coming. We'll see you next month, and see you for Roll20Con 2020.
Yeah. Thanks, y'all.
Nice to meet you all.